The shame is not yours. The words of Keir Starmer today as he apologised on behalf of the state for its role in historical forced adoptions in England and Wales. It's thought 185,000 babies were taken from their mothers in the 1950s, 60s and 70s. In thousands of cases, the women were forced to give up their babies because they were unmarried. In a moment, I'll be talking to campaigner Jan Doyle, who, aged 16, had her baby son taken from her. But first, this report from Duncan Kennedy.
It's taken these women half a century to walk these final steps to redemption. This was a small selection of birth mothers and adoptees invited to Downing Street ahead of today's apology. A moment as historic as it is painful. Inside, they met the Prime Minister and Education Secretary. Their stories of how their children were taken and their pleas for recognition finally heard at the highest levels of government. When they emerged, they spoke of their hopes for the day ahead.
Yeah, I'm hoping it will lift the shame that we've all felt for ever since they took our babies and said that we gave them away. We didn't give them away. We wanted our babies, so for the rest of our lives, we've suffered. 58 years, they tell you you'll forget it ever happened. It's almost 58 years and you don't forget every day.
They then joined dozens of other birth mothers and their adopted children gathered outside Parliament, ready to go in to hear the Prime Minister's historic words.
This morning in Downing Street, I met some of the mothers and adult adoptees harmed by historic adoption practices in England. Mr. Speaker, what happened to them and to tens of thousands of mothers, children and families should never have happened. It is a stain on our history. Mothers, many young, vulnerable and without support, were coerced, bullied or misled into feeling that they had no choice but to have their children taken away from them. What a thing to do.
Sir Keir dwelt on the despair forced adoptions have brought to hundreds of thousands of birth mothers and babies in post-war Britain.
And I hope that this statement, this apology, perhaps gives some of them the confidence to speak about what happened to them, because it will help in a small way. But I say this, the shame is not yours. The shame was never yours. The shame is ours. And I say that on behalf of the whole country. I say it to every single person impacted. We are deeply and profoundly sorry. To the mothers who were told they were unfit, who were prevented from caring for the children they desperately wanted to help and to keep, and who've carried this loss for decades.
It's a wrench to part from your baby.
Forced adoptions took place in the 3 decades after the Second World War and may have affected nearly 200,000 babies. Mothers were pressured to give up their children for adoption because they were not married. The BBC's coverage of the story over 5 years had already led to apologies from the Welsh Government.
And for this, the Welsh Government is truly sorry.
The Scottish Government.
And unreserved apology. We are sorry.
And last month, the Church of England also accepted its harmful role.
We are profoundly sorry.
The mothers and adoptees had watched it all from the public gallery. It became a moment for joy, for relief, for vindication that they had done no wrong.
Duncan Kennedy reporting, and let's speak now to Jan Doyle. Jan, thank you very much for joining us on BBC News today, and I want to get you to begin by telling our audience about your little boy. You named him David, didn't you, and how you had to give him away.
Yes, I had David 64 years ago. I was 16 and I was in a mother and baby home. I didn't know what was happening to me, I don't think, really, at that age and at that time. I had him and I had to look after him, and I loved looking after him. It was it was such a joy to be with him, to hold him, and then I had to give him up, and I had to take him to Hampshire, I think it was, with my mother and my moral welfare officer in the back of a car. And that was January '63, when it was that awful winter. And we drove and drove and drove, and I don't know where. And I was cuddling him in the back of the car. And then we got there, and matron, I presume, opened the door, let us in, and she took him from my arms and took him to a nursery or somewhere. We were led, my mum and I were led to another room. And all the time I thought, where's my baby? Where's my baby? And they said, would you like to see him before you go? And I said, yes. My mother said no, and I said yes. And I went, and there he was, in this great big cot, in this great big room, all by himself. And that image has stayed with me for all those years, for 64 years. And it was the last time I saw him for 63 years. He found me after 63 years.
Yeah, I mean, that is amazing, and also so awful to be apart for so long, all of that time to catch up on. And I wonder, as you listen to Keir Starmer's apology today, and he talked about shame, and he said, I know this apology, it won't lift it completely. He hoped it will help a bit. How does it make you feel to hear it?
Well, I was quite sceptical about the sorry and the apology, because sorry is such an easy word to say, but it's how it's delivered, how it's meant, what support, what comes after it. And in fact, I was quite heartened. It seemed as though that apology really was meant, and that there will be things put in place to support victims, because that's what we are, really. Adoptees and birth mothers, to help them through this process and to heal.
And after all these years, more than 6 decades, would you say that you are not healed yet?
No, I'm not healed yet. I mean, during that time, that 60 years, I went through a lot, and so did my family. I had 2 other children, and they must have gone through a lot as well, because I was going through it, and it must have rubbed off on them. But you know, we are a united family, and it is healing. And having my son back in my life and is very good, and it has been accepted by my other son and my daughter, and that's just so amazing for me, just so amazing.
He's called John now, I believe.
Called John now, yes.
Yeah. And what is that relationship like now?
I think it gets stronger every time I see him, and we chat online. He has a very, very busy job, but yeah, we chat online and we see each other, and it's developing really well. And he's met my daughter and my other son and my brother, and yes, it's
and I know that
very well.
And
yeah.
I know that you have been campaigning on this issue for a
Yes.
number of years. Is that the campaign over? Are there still loose ends to be tied up?
I don't think that works over, because there's so many people who are so affected that they need to be encouraged and to help them come to terms and realise that shame is not theirs to carry now.
Okay, well, Jan, thank you so much for talking to us and sharing your story, and best wishes to you and all the members of your family. Jan Doyle there.